Well, hello everybody, I'm Aloneinfinland. This is Arc Raiders, and today we're going to be talking about a little extra tip that not many people are sort of paying attention to, but it can have a dramatically big effect on how other players perceive you. It can lower your chance of getting ratted because of a little bit of interesting psychology, and at the same time, it can make some interactions quite weird and gain you some things that you might not normally do. Now, if you've seen my channel before, you know that this isn't how I sound.
This is my normal voice. However, let's show you what's going on here.
Hey there.
Hello.
Give me a sec. Oh no. Okay. I got something for you.
Oh, nice, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So from the first screen that we have when we come into Arc Raiders, this is our main thing. And you're going to want to go down to your settings, into audio, and then down to Raider voice. Now, in the voice chat, we have our mic in, our noise suppression, etc. You don't need noise suppression if you are if you are using headphones and things like this normally, but a Raider voice here. So Raider voice can be heard by everybody. Raider voice selection, you have multiple different voices, and if you hit your microphone test,
When you speak, what you will hear back in your speakers or your headphones will be this other voice, and there are various selections. You have
As you can see here, you have some male voices.
you have some female voices that will step over the top, and the trick to this is finding a voice that actually suits the accent that you're speaking in. I've noticed that voice 3 and voice 5 kind of work for me. Voice 3 is a little bit better because it sort of allows my Scottishness to come through. When that doesn't happen, it sounds weird. But the reason that we're talking about this, if I just step back,
is because we are talking about the perception between men and women. So, if you are a woman or a girl gamer, which comes up an awful lot, then you already know this, especially if you've played multiplayer games that have a sort of more open age limit. A good friend of mine was able to play Rust completely passively because half of the blokes on the server, when they heard her talking, decided to give her everything that she could get. So this is a weird thing, but it also leads into a little bit of psychology that's going on. And to demonstrate this, allow me to speak about the Scottish police force.
I've got to come up with you, please.
Oh, thanks, man. Now, for those of you that don't know, between 1982 and 2002, Scotland had the highest rate of interpersonal violence of any country in the world. So that's not severity of violence, but the amount of it, the individual instances. So we had more fights than any other country. If you look at how many genocides happened and wars happened within that time period, you'll start to understand how severe the violence problem was in Scotland, and the Scottish Police Force obviously are the ones dealing with this. And one of the things that they started to do was they started to recruit more women, and they laxed some of the requirements for women. Not the fitness requirements, but the height requirements specifically. Short women were allowed in. Hello, hello.
Hello.
You can grab what you want from this.
No, thank you.
Because this has a particular effect on a fight. If you've got two heavy blokes pounding the absolute shit out of each other, especially within the Scottish culture, if a woman's in the way, every other person in the area will notice what's going on. Those blokes might not want to hit the woman, so the woman will have a greater chance, especially if she's the type of person that will get in between a fight. And trust me, Scottish women are like that. So if she gets in the middle, she might be able to calm the violence down just by her presence being there and the people not wanting to hit her. However, the other secondary effect of it is if somebody does hit her, then every other bloke in the local area is going to try and pull the heads off of the person who actually assaulted a woman. Doesn't matter whether it was a police officer or not. It's kind of within Scottish culture. So they started making use of this, and you will find that they would actually sort of team up, men and women, particularly a nice big bloke who's the sort of ruffian, and a smaller woman. Now the method behind this is because a big bloke going in to pull a fight apart between two men, the men would see him as a threat, not as something that needs protected. So just using that sort of trained conditioning, putting a man in that situation wouldn't de-escalate, or at least it wouldn't de-escalate in the same way as putting a woman in that situation. Bearing in mind that de-escalation is the key. If you are going to try and escalate a fight when there's 6 people and only 2 police officers, the police officers are going to catch hell. So de-escalation is always the best method. And that's what this little tip is about. If you are running about, especially if you are using some of the skins that we have, the ones that tend to show off the sort of physicality of a woman, I'm trying not to be a creep in saying that, but at the same time, you're kind of getting into something with a certain group of players. But if you are sort of loud and pink, you've got the female voice, bearing in mind that the voices can be set separate, but they can also go on which facial type that you are using, sort of by default. But if you are doing these things where you have somebody who is a sort of more feminine character, and you are wearing a skin that shows off that it's a feminine character as opposed to something that is hiding everything, because even with the 2 body types, the male and female body type, some of it you can't really see through that well because of just the way that the thing sits. However, there are some particular skins that do allow that. For instance, some of the free skins, or some of the skins that you unlock as you go along. Also, and this was a tip that somebody else pointed out here, if you don't use your lower bag and you leave that open, showing the ass makes it more obvious that it's a woman. I know it's weird, but I hate to say it, it's kind of working here. And sort of having something that demonstrates that you are feminine as opposed to masculine in the game, then coupled with the AI voice that is changing what you say in real time, or changing the tone so that it sounds like you're more feminine, all of a sudden you have different interactions with people. And as I'll show here, I've had several different interactions. Some of these have been recorded, some of them I didn't record, but I've been playing for basically 4 days like this. Now, I was using the female character before, but the trick is to actually start talking in-game. Oh, I talk to the trees, that's why they put me away. So not talking to people, talking all the time. Just having little conversations, stating little things as you're moving about. As you come into a new area where there might be other players, start talking, announce yourself, say that you're friendly. Do all of that stuff, and then anybody who might be up for ratting will not do it. Now, this is, as with everything in Ark Raiders, it's not going to make you safe. There are still people that will engage.
Hello, man. It's my key.
I've just opened this with my key. What are you doing? Well, aren't you an arsehole? However, that group of players that are rats because they're opportunistic as opposed to arseholishness, they are the type of players who might take a second thought about going after a woman, especially if you are sort of feigning ignorance, playing a little bit on the behaviour of others, sort of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, can you help me out with this? it can change how other people can perceive you within the game, and it's a little bit of fun. And to be honest, I've always heard this. I've got friends that are sort of teens through 40s, through 50s actually, that are female gamers. And it is particularly funny how they always talk about this in multiplayer games, that they are always getting this attention. And I have seen it firsthand, but it's never happened to me because obviously I don't exactly sound like a female gamer on audio. And having this experience of people running up to us, handing us cores, handing us loot, bringing us snap hooks just apropos of nothing because I've talked to them, that is a weird experience. And as a male gamer, I have had people be friendly and offer loot. I've never had somebody come out of nowhere and just, here, have this very high tier thing. That's been a whole different thing. So it has its uses in both defence and looting. But at the same time, some of the times it will not protect you. You will have that group of people that just want to kill to be arseholes. Now at the end of this, I want to make a little note about something for anybody who's still watching. Matchmaking changes. One of the things that Arc Raiders has come out and said, they've tried to clarify a few things when it comes to matchmaking. And one of the things that they've sort of missed, they have failed to mention, is that if you're in certain areas, like for instance I'm in Finland, certain players or certain areas don't have the same amount of servers. So while they have said that there is like a scale of matchmaking, and I completely understand, and I've mentioned this before, it's what I thought was going on, there is also within that scale, it sort of drops down when you are talking about players that are outside of large population areas like the UK or the US. So some of us are getting sort of smaller player pools, and if you misbehave in any way, you will get plunged into those more aggressive player pools, and that's where this can come sort of fruition. The perfect example being this morning, my first run before I turned my camera on or any of that jazz. I played Ark, I went after the Bastion in Stella Montis, and I dropped a deadline mine on top of it and by accident killed somebody. I revived him, but I downed him and then revived him. And then the next 3 matches I got ratted out of every single one of them. So I made one mistake and went into high combat. It was just sort of properly vicious. So while they are sort of saying that it will be gradual as you come into these things, some of us are experiencing quite a violent turn in, whether it goes from positive to negative. Having a secondary sort of effect in that is something that it is understandable, but bear that in mind, because the developers at Arc Raiders are not lying about what they're saying. However, it's shades of grey how it works in different places, so bear that in mind, because I've seen a lot of comments about that before. So I thought I'd just put that at the end of this one. But that's my little tip there. As you can see in the background, there's a fair few things going on about it, with some loot being given, some nice interactions and things like this. But I think it's a particularly funny one to be the girl gamer, and if it's not something that you are one for trying, it doesn't make sense to you, just give it a shot for a day, because it is something that's weird. I will note on the AI audio that they are using, the actual program that they are using is been licensed from VoiceMod, so it's inside the game, but it was licensed from VoiceMod. VoiceMod is a closed AI, so it doesn't pull data from everything else. All of the training and stuff has already been done, so it's a closed program. It's not something that transfers data. VoiceMod themselves are actually a Spanish company, and they are sort of strictly adhering to the GDPR, so it's not in the same way as using Grok or using ChatGPT, whatever the fuck. Using those systems gives them any of the data that you're providing, and they can use it in anything else. This is a whole different thing. They are not even using your data to retrain their models. So that's kind of an interesting thing for me, and I think it's worth using, it's worth experimenting with. So with all that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Likes and stuff like that if you care, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I'm trying this again just to see what's going on. Those of you that know. Okay, bye.